Scotland, and they did it in the rock work they did. They put different designs, interlooping type knot, basically. And but it's kind of got started good in the Scotland, Ireland, Wales, in that area. Some of the things that it means, you can tell them that it means. There's different ones, different patterns, but eternity, unity, spirituality, protection, love, and friendship. And what I was doing when I was turning one of our members, it's actually a life member, Darcy, I did a rolling pin, and she said, well, when you go to the show next time, she said, I'd like to see a whole table full of rolling pins. So I didn't want to do a table full, but I did like 4 or 5, and I made a little rack and had 4 of them in there, and I did a Celtic knot on about 90% of them if the wood was just plain wood. And one of the guys come up there, and he was looking at them, and he said, you know, that looks more like the atomic energy logo. And I said, well, I'm trying to sell rolling pins, so I could either put atomic energy or love and friendship, because I had a little tag that I put on them, you know, and so I put love and friendship, and he kind of seen what I was talking about. But it does look like that atomic thing when you're done. When you're doing these, you have to have equal sides, 4 sides. You can do 8 sides, you could do 6 sides, that they have to be equal. And to get them to turn out uniform, you got to have them equal. But I haven't done an 8-sided yet, but I may do one just to play with it, to see what it's like. But on the 8, you do the 4, and they got to be equal. They can be an inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 6 inches, whatever you want, as long as they're equal. Because to get the uniformity, you have to have it, you know, pretty close to equal. The key to the Celtic knots, in my opinion, and I've been on YouTube, a lot of them don't do it. I don't know how they get them to turn out, but I've tried it. Is whatever your kerf is, if you're using a table saw, a band saw, or a chop saw, whatever wood you're taking out, that thickness needs to be your wood that's replacing it, or plastic. You can use credit cards. You can glue in copper, brass, whatever you have. It needs to go in there pretty easily. If you've got to force it in, and I had one on this and had a little mishap, but it needs to slide in. See how easy that slides in? You get glue on there, and one suggestion is always, I tried cutting them the exact same length. Push it in. Once it's in, you can't get it back out. So if you got this, at least you can pull the darn thing back out. So, but you could, you know, put 2 or 3 pieces together to get the thickness if you want. If you got something thin, I seen them on the ink pens. You had some. Dallas, or not Dallas, Doug's done some, Dallas done some, but they use the big popsicle sticks, the big fat ones that are like a tongue thing. They cut that and use that because you got a nice white wood. It's already uniform, but you got to get your hole or your slot that thickness. It's pretty critical. But like this one, say you're cutting that, and I put these lines on there to see where every cut goes. So there's only one cut on each side. And when you clamp these, the nice part about it, if you don't go all the way through, is one clamp like this on the end there will clamp that whole thing if you've got the right thickness. So it's pretty easy to clamp, push that together with just one clamp. If you,
that when I was doing mine.
Yeah, if you cut all the way through, which is what I used to do, and now I've tried to do it this way. I use a little board like this with a little slot cut in it. Because you're going all the way through, you're going to have your wood sticking out the back side a little bit. That goes in that little groove. And then you have to put a clamp here, you got to put a clamp here, and then you got to have one across here. Anytime you got 3 clamps, things can get out of whack. And if it's not square when you're done, you're going to have a little deviation, right? You're going to have a little deviation in your thing. So you want to make sure it's all the way down, and then clamp one here, and then bring one together. And then the first piece, you won't be able to see any mistakes. The second piece, when you go to, if you don't get everything just right, you'll have one off center a little bit, like this one. It's just a little bit off center. To me, it kind of, I don't like them that way. I like them right. This one here is in the middle. And then what I do is I mark, when I'm cutting them, on one end of the wood, you mark 1, 2, 3, and 4. This always goes against your stop, so you always get it in the same way. I think Doug's got one that he cut the wrong way. Where's Doug at?
Yeah, I did.
Because he put it in and you get confused and you cut the wrong way. It'll actually look pretty neat, but it's ain't what you want, or isn't what you want. So anyway, I mark them 1, 2, and if you want them to be intersecting like this, I think the one I'm going to turn here, I did it that way. I did like 1, then turned it to 3, then did 2, and then 4. So that makes a difference on which way they intertwine. You can play with it either way. You can play with it for. But anyway, we're going to stick one on. Does anybody got any questions so far on what you do?
What are you gluing? What kind of glue are you using?
On this one here, I just used Type Bond on this particular one. But now I went all the way through. And you can use Type Bond if you're going wood to wood. I tried Type Bond with the metal. It didn't work. I tried epoxy. I think my epoxy, 2-part epoxy, got bad. It didn't work. It just got gummy. So I called Phil and I said, do you think that'll work with super glue? And he said, that's exactly what you use. Thick super glue, and this is metal to the wood. I don't know if it's going to work. I told her she's sitting in a bad spot because she's awful close. Her husband said, no, you sit here, honey. But we're going to go ahead and do it. That's just super glue. And the nice thing about the super glue thick is when you glue it, within, I give it 15, 20 minutes, half hour, because super glue has to have air to cure it. And you're putting wood, you're not getting a lot of air, so I would trust it, and I'd give it a half hour. Even if you spray it, you're only spraying the outside. So if you sprayed the backside, I'd still give it half hour. Where the super glue, I was doing one like in the morning, and then maybe towards supper time, I'd go ahead and take it off and cut another one. So it was like 2 a day. This here, you could do 4 or 5 of these in a day. That's the nice part about the CA glue. We'll see if it holds. I don't know. We'll find out. The other thing, when you're cutting your angles, you can do anywhere from, say, a 30 degree to a 60 degree. 60 degree is going to give you a lot longer. These were done on a 45. You can see it all takes place in about, I don't know what we've got there, 2.5 inches from here to here on something that big. Now, if you go 60 degrees, it's going to push this out, make it go further. 30 degrees, like on a pen, a 30 degree may be what you want. It brings it in shorter because you've got a little short piece. If you're doing pens, my suggestion is you use a long piece first. If you're Celtic Knot, you put it up towards the end, at least you've got something to clamp. If you try to cut it 3 inches, you've got no place to put clamps or nothing. So I would make it longer, get your Celtic Knot in, and then cut it to the length you want. You can cut both ends if you need to get it exactly in the center. You don't have to be. You can cut this in 1/4 inch and bring it to the center of the other. So that's just the suggestion I would do. Replace it with the same size that you cut out. That's the other thing. The bandsaw worked real good on it. And the nice part, if you want something thicker than your curve, you can recut it. You can cut one end of it, as long as you're doing the same end every time and replacing the thickness of your wood. You can cut off a sliver of the one end and it'd be thicker. You could put a 1/4 inch piece in there, and your saw's only cutting, let's say, 1/8. You could go a 1/4 or 1/2 inch piece. You just got to keep cutting it back, so every one is the exact same. That's the key to it. And I've seen them use metal with aluminum. You can use aluminum cans. I know Doug uses aluminum cans like a Pepsi can or a Mountain Dew or whatever. Thin, cut that like that. You can just cut a piece out, and there's your little pieces of metal. You use super glue, right? Mm-hmm. Yep. Brass, copper, all turned with carbide. You can use a carbide. You can cut any of them with that. Credit cards, I know Doug had a big stack of old credit cards, and some of them credit cards got red in between them, right? They're different colors. Blue, and that shows up in there. It kind of gives you a contrast, so I've never tried them. So any other questions? We're going to turn one here. Nothing? This piece here, I got on the fourth cut in, tried to push it in, it got stuck, wouldn't come. I had it cut short, so I couldn't get the darn thing back out. I thought, well, I'll let it dry, I'll just put it back on the saw table and cut it. So I recut the groove again, glued another one in. I don't know what it's going to look like, so we'll see here when we get it. It may be off a little bit. I'll stop it there and show you as it starts to form. There you can see it. Can you guys see that there? You can see it, it's not connected here. Not here yet, not there yet. So we just go a little deeper. It's kind of neat how they, magic. Why it turns around. I guess because you're turning around. I'm turning about 1,200, 1,300. This is butternut wood with a rosewood insert. Dee, you want to come up and finish it?
No.
See if it's connected yet. I got a little gap here yet, so I'll take it down a little bit further. But you can see them actually matched up pretty good. You probably can't see it. I can see it just maybe a couple hundredths or something off there, but you don't notice that so much. But so far, you can see the color's a little different, and that depends on how you stick it in and the wood. But then if here when you go to before when you got it all turned, if you get some little gaps, which you could here, what I do is put some glue in there, some Type Bond, do it with the sawdust, and then when you go to take that back off, when you cut it, it'll stick in there, and your rosewood or whatever your contrast, it'll basically come off there. So if you take it down just, you generally will sandpaper by then, but I'll take it down just a little bit further. And then what I'm going to do on this one is probably just make a little rolling pin with no handles, because I keep watching everybody use them. They don't use the handle. They just put their hands on top. So I thought, well, you know what? I think I'll just do it that way. If you're doing yeah, that's pretty good there. I'll just stop right there. When you're doing them, when you get it the way you want it, to get it the same all the way, that's the hard part, is getting it uniform. Get it the best you can. I usually hook my finger over the edge, and that keeps you pretty straight. And then I take a block of wood, put sandpaper on it, and you're basically doing either the whole thing or at least half of it at a time, and that kind of smooths out any imperfections you got. But one down. That's so far so good. Like I say, I'll take that down at home, and I don't know what I'll do with it, but you can pass that one around. Now let's try the metal. I'll do this one first because I got the bigger. This was the one I had my numbers, and what happened is the kerf was small. Let's see, the kerf was smaller than what this is thick, my insert. So I just glued it straight on. I just made it, which I knew it was too small. I glued it together, and you can see that it's off there quite a bit. And I thought, well, that'd be a good demonstration to show them what it looks like. And what you can do on that is, if you've got that in your, I used I think a chop saw on this. Your chop saw on that, and you go to stick your insert in it, bring it back, and you look at it, and it's like this. What you can do is take and put it back in the saw. Don't use the other piece. Just do the piece here until you get it to where they center. You may have to make two, just take a slight bit off. You could do it with a sander, but you better have some continuity. You're going to be off on your glue, so. But that's what I did with the darn thing. So.
Tiny little bit offset, just a tiny bit.
Can you guys see that? That better? Light it up better? This is some hard maple I got from Roger. So you don't get much hard maple around here, but I've got a couple chunks from him. And this is that hard maple, so you can definitely tell it when you turn it. That butternut was pretty soft. It's not cutting that very good, I don't think. I don't think I'm even into it yet. Yeah, a little bit. It's kind of neat. I think it's going to look cool.
What kind of metal is in this one?
Aluminum. Two real thin pieces of aluminum. And I bought a sheet of it. Doug said he found it. I think one of the turning place sells it. I found it on Amazon. I got like a 3-foot piece of this stuff. It was like $15 shipped. It was very cheap, and I can see a lot of uses for it. Putting it in for trim on bowls and stuff like that.
Would brass be too hard for that?
Huh?
Would brass be too
I don't
hard?
think so. I think brass or copper either. For this, yeah. But for carbide, no. That carbide should cut that real easy. I'm going to switch to carbide here in a minute. I might as well dull this thing up to see if it's going to work. Just an experiment. Can you see the black coming off there too? I'm going to stop it right there. I say I ain't making nothing, it's just turning knots. And this had some bad spots in the wood. It was kind of, it spalted a little bit on the one side, and it was just something I thought, well, I'll just use that stuff here. But you can see it, it's kind of a neat thing there.
Yeah, it is.
This is cherry, super glue, so we'll see. Anybody got any questions on them? Nothing? See, there's where I did go, get it in far enough right there. I gotta take it down past that to get it to go round. Does that make sense? Well, I was going to tell you, anybody that's interested, the gun club, Twin Lakes Gun Club's having an open house today. They got Clark Ridge Fire Department's got bratwurst, hot dogs, hamburgers, and fried pies to die. Little picture of the gun club there. Yeah, it's getting dull. I can tell it's getting dull right now.
Sounds smooth.
Huh?
It sounds smooth. It sounds round.
It's round, yeah. Steve, you can quit. See, there's a little bit there. I'm going to pass it around the way it is because I want to be able to drill that hole and finish it up with the pin. But there's the last one. You can see that's a little closer to center. Now this is just with 2 cuts. So if you're doing one like this, you cut like 1 and 3 or 2 and 4. If you do 1, 2, 3, and 4, if you just do 1 and 2, it's not going to look like that, is it, Doug? It's wrong. So you got to do the opposite one, and that gets it either shaped like this or like that. And if you did 4 cuts, then it would be like this on all 4 sides. So that, I love that aluminum, man. I think that's sharp. You put that with a little black on a pen, it would look sharp.
Would you use aluminum can, or where'd you get the aluminum?
No, I bought a sheet of it. Yeah, and it's already sandwiched. I was telling him, I think I was $12 or maybe $15 shipped to the house. And mine's I think 18 by 2 foot maybe, something like that. And it's got tape on one side to protect it, and the other side's got a coating. You got to kind of rough it up before you glue it. But any questions on how to do that? Nobody got hurt? Yeah.
Would it work instead of,
No blood.
you're using the aluminum to sandwich your insert?
Oh, you buy it that way.
Oh, you buy that?
Yeah, it's
I was
already-
gonna say, how about taking a thicker piece of, just say brass or aluminum and putting that in instead, no wood, so you've got that wood and metal.
Doug had bought a piece of aluminum that I think would, or not aluminum, copper. And I think that would really look sharp on a light piece of wood with, or against black. If you got something that's really dark, like a piece of walnut with that copper. Especially if you've got, some of them pen kits got copper colored, and some are brass colored, and some of them are pewter. So you can kind of, aluminum would look good with the pewter, and the brass would look good with something with brass, or the copper would look good with copper. But you could do any of it. But you can see how smooth that comes out. That's super glue. So any other questions on it? I can't tell you where to get it. I put down aluminum with plastic insert or something, and it popped up a bunch of them. There was some commercial places which was really expensive, but this is like $12, $13 for a piece that big. Probably make 200 pens out of it. I don't know. Depends how big your pieces are.
Could you get like aluminum flashing at
Yep.
Lowe's or Home
Yep.
Depot?
Yep. Yeah, any piece of aluminum. I haven't used it. That's the first I've used it.
Yeah, you could use piece of 10 from Home Depot or Lowe's or something.
I just like that
Copper?
black, and they had it in blue and yellow. You could get different colors in that.
And you could buy acrylic sheets there too, with like, with the.
Yeah. Yeah. But like I say, that's the Celtic Knot, Scandinavian,
Nice.
friendship and love.
Boy, we're getting friendly now.
Well, you know, when you're going to a show or you're giving it to somebody and you put a little tag on there, this is spirituality, or love and friendship, or whatever you want it to say. You can pretty well put anything down, but that's just what Wikipedia had on there. So I put that, that tranquility. I mean, that makes a neat thing. You think, oh, that's what that means. Yeah. If you put atomic, I don't think they want it, so. Anyway, that's all I got. Anybody got any questions, let me know.
Tickets for the drawing. Don't have any.
60, right now is $62.
How much?